I should be good now.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, there's like a, it's an official website thing, and they're like restreaming a bunch of streamers that are already streaming on their end. So I think that's how this is gonna go.
Huh. They're still selling tickets even though it's happening right now.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I don't even know what you. I don't even know what the fuck you can get with a ticket. I didn't even check, because it's like, you know, like, why would you buy a ticket to the Streamer Awards?
I always thought it was weird that it's like this girl, Cutie Cinderella, that streams it on her own thing. I feel like if you're gonna be, it's like streamer awards, right? If you're gonna be agnostic about it, maybe have a different brand for it that streams it. You know?
Yep, yep. Or just make Twitch stream it. You know what I mean? Like the official.
True, something like yeah.
Yeah.
That would be way cooler. I don't know if they could make that happen, but that would be way cooler.
Probably not. I mean, they're too busy flunking their stocks and shit. So I don't think they got the wherewithal to do that. What's new with you? How's life been?
Been good, been good. You know, it's crazy you were playing Celeste. I was listening to the Celeste OST earlier. That like it's such a good soundtrack. It actually like made my whole day.
But wait, you didn't. I think I've seen like a bit of your stream today. You didn't play Celeste. You just listened to the thing.
Yeah, I just listened to the OST. There was one thing in it, like this one that went super viral, like Resurrections or whatever. That song that I've heard before. I don't know how I heard it. I think it was like it just came on my shuffle or something like that when it was like recommended tracks or something. And then I'm like, damn, this is so good. So I went through the rest of it like yesterday and today. And but I never played the game. It looked cool, but like I just don't have the time to be playing games like that.
No, I get it. I get it. It's me neither, honestly. Lately, especially, because like life's just been getting in the way. But I don't know. Well, something like this is happening. I just like to have something going on in the background, and Celeste seems pretty low maintenance.
True,
So
true.
you know, why not? It's not as
By the way,
taxing.
do you watch UFC?
A little bit every once in a while. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I watch it like casually, like every time there's a big fight. So probably once a month or once every like month and a half or so. There's like a big
Mm-hmm.
fight. I'll watch that one. There's a big one. I mean, it's kind of big tonight. It's like bantamweight championship and flyweight championship, two championships in one night.
Uh
But
huh.
they're both like super light. They're like 125 pounders and 135 pounders. That's like the weight limits for the weight classes. So they're small guys, and people don't usually pay attention to small guys that much. But so it's not like super hype, not like super mainstream or anything. But yeah, I'm like excited. These are like fights that I like.
Yeah, no, it can be awesome. You know, the last kind of big fight that I took notice of, and I kind of stayed up to watch it, was I think it was Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, something like that. It's like
Oh
over a
yeah,
year
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
You remember that?
Yep, I remember that. I remember that.
I don't know. I think it was pretty disappointing in the grand scheme of things. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
It's like,
I kind of thought it was going to be disappointing before I went into it, and I honestly didn't even bother watching it.
oh, you didn't even
But
stay up to see it. Based.
yeah,
Awesome.
there is another Jake Paul fight that's going to happen in I don't know. Let me see when it's going to be. You know about Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua?
Wait, that's happening? That's like real.
I guess it's real. I think
Jesus.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this is insane. This is insane. Yeah, dude. December 19th.
Wow.
This is
Okay.
real.
I
This is
thought
real.
I thought people were just memeing. Jesus. Okay.
No, this is really happening. This is really happening.
Oh, wow. And I imagine the thing is
They
already sold out, right?
Probably, but they did the face-offs and everything, and yeah, Anthony Joshua is just he's probably like 6 inches taller than him.
Oh,
So
God. Jesus.
yeah, I'm expecting it to be brutal, but I think it's a win-win for Jake Paul because I mean, if he makes it past the first round, everyone's gonna be like, "Hey, you did a good job," you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's more so. I,
But
I feel like it's the same thing
yeah,
as it was with Tyson, but like the roles are reversed now, actually, when it comes to like
yeah,
weight
definitely,
classes.
definitely.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't know.
But at the same time, it's a puncher's chance, you know, because it's a boxing match. You never know what could happen. Random weird shit happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, dude, Jake Paul has the opportunity to do the funniest thing I've ever seen in boxing.
Yeah, true. I don't know if he's gonna capitalize on it though. That's kind of worrisome.
I doubt it. I doubt it. But like, I'm hoping. I'm hoping. You know, I'm rooting for
Yep.
the YouTuber.
Yep. Yep. That was. I think with him especially, it was like a meme that went too far at one point. You know what I mean? Like, uh,
Yeah.
his boxing shtick kind of started off as more of a oh I can do this too, lol, and now he's like doing it at a top level. So
Yeah.
kind of
It was already crazy when he was gonna fight Tank Davis, but this is just this man. I'm rooting for him. I'm really rooting for him.
yeah.
December 19th. I'm gonna put it in my calendar.
Mm. I've seen you. You've been live quite a few times since we last talked. There was like a couple of IRL things that I caught. Um, one was wait. There was like a video of you driving to the planetarium. Do I have that down right?
Um, what? I don't think I went live.
No, no. One of those. I think that was
And
a. I
I
think
don't think I
that.
did any I.
I think that was like a video, and then you went live a few times or just uploaded the VODs, something like that, or not.
Yeah, I've just been so on my VOD channel. I upload all the times I've been live, but I also upload like just recordings of stuff. Like if I just go out and record stuff, I'll upload it on the VOD channel unedited on that as well.
Uh huh. So it's not necessarily like a past. It doesn't have to be like a past stream.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I think 20% of the videos on there are just like just going out with friends, not streaming it, and just like recording stuff. Because I record stuff with my camera. I have a DSLR. I mean, I have a mirrorless, but I have like actual legit camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I just record everything with that. Like I stream with that too. That's like why my camera quality is the way that it is. So like it's hard to stream out of this. I have to connect it to like I'd have to connect it with the HDMI to some box thing that can send it to a router. It's a complicated setup. So I'll usually just record stuff for like a couple hours and then just upload it, like put it all into Premiere, export it all as one long video, and then just upload it like that. I think that's like 20% of my videos on my VOD channel.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I told you this the last time we talked, but like, I really love your archival approach to stuff. It's really cool. I fuck with that.
Do you archive stuff like that the same way or?
Kinda. I get lazy and I forget to do it. But in principle, yeah, I would like to do more of that in 2026.
See, now it's become a thing where it gives me a dopamine spike to do it. Like I take out my SD card, pop it into my computer. Like I'm describing the series of events actually doesn't mean anything because there was a time where this would be boring to me and I wouldn't care about it. But as I'm describing it, I'm like, oh, this is so fun. This is so fun because I get dopamine from it. But like the process of doing it now, I'm so fast and so efficient at it that I just take it and I like it gets my mind going. I love like waking up hopping on my computer before I like do anything else, and then just taking the stuff from my SD card, uploading it on the Dropbox, texting my friends like, "Yo, this stuff was on the Dropbox." Like taking it, putting it into my Dropbox folder, taking the stuff from that folder, uploading it onto YouTube, and then just like texting my friends like that. It feels so good to do it now. So it's not even a thing I have to like worry about with maintenance anymore. It just like it never leaves my mind. Every time I'm recording something, I like archiving it now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I wish more people would do this because, um, I don't know. It creates kind of like a backup for memories. That's kind of cool.
Also, wait, uh, what do I call you? This might be a late time to ask, but like, what do I call you?
Blade is fine if you want to be formal. If not, then John works. John is okay.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna change your nickname, like friend nickname in Discord to John then.
Okay. I mean, I've went by Blade since I was fucking what 10 years old, I think. So it just kind of stuck in terms of like it being a online handle that I use. Um.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do Blade because I already know. I know two Johns already.
Okay. Okay. That's smart. Yeah, that's smart to uh, put it in a box of some kind. If nothing, you know what to do with it. So Jesus.
30 minutes till this thing starts.
Oh wow. Damn, my evening flew by. Holy shit. I haven't done anything worthwhile. Jesus.
By the way, what's your time zone?
I'm CET.
CET.
I'm a Euro cook, so
Oh yeah. You already mentioned this before. Yeah.
yeah. It's weird because like when I talk to people from the States, it's usually, I mean, I kind of already figured out most of the main ones, kind of like the two main time zones and shit. But like sometimes it's really hard to schedule stuff in advance. So always been kind of fighting with
Yeah.
that.
That is the nice thing about being unemployed, though. Like for me, because I could just get on whenever.
Mm-hmm. But wait, I assume you do like a lot of freelance stuff, right?
Um, sure, you could. I mean, like, there's a few things I'm working on. But I mean, basically, I'm unemployed. I don't have any official job title or anything. I don't get a W-2 or anything like that.
Uh huh.
But you know how? I mean, I think most people at some point in their life always has like a phase where they jump from one project to another project, trying to escape the 9 to 5. Mine has just been extended for a very long period of time. Right now, right now, I'm trying to start another drop shipping store.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, as long as it's sustainable, you know. Uh,
Yeah, hopefully.
that's also kind of a lie. Like, I don't know. You can just kind of always be in between jobs if it's working for you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to fixate on anything, really.
Yeah, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to like already like my parents are rich,
Uh
so
huh.
I kind of already have things set up for me, and like I was already given a whole bunch of money, and so I could kind of coast. I could actually like spend the rest of my life never working. I kind of just want to make something,
Mm
but like there's a different reality where I'm just like slightly more hedonistic, and I just completely just give in, and even I'm endlessly lazy, and I'm just smoking weed and watching Netflix all day, every
Uh
day.
huh. Uh huh. Oh no, I mean, I
So
get you.
I feel like I feel like I barely scraped by that. I barely escaped it.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, especially when you're like in a situation like that where you don't have to really, you're not being forced to struggle in the same way as like most people would be, which is kind of a blessing in disguise, precisely because of what you said, right? It's like you have a lot more opportunities. You know, doors open to you maybe more easily, or even in some cases it's to your detriment, right? Depending on how high profile your parents are as people, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the pros and cons to everything, of course, but yeah, it's definitely a blessing. It's definitely a blessing.
but wait,
I'm not gonna deny that.
I'm you live by yourself or you get some roommates? What's up with that?
So right now I live with my mom.
Uh huh.
I'm but I'm about to move out in a little bit.
That's cool. I mean,
I
cause
come back here and there. I'll move out and then come back to my mom's place, move out, come back to my mom's place. Um, right now I'm about to I just texted my friend actually. We're trying to get a townhouse. Me and two of my friends are trying to get a townhouse,
uh huh. That's cool.
but probably in like a couple months.
I think you mentioned in one of your videos that you are in Georgia, right?
Yeah. I'm in
Yes.
Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
That's cool. Fuck, I haven't been to Atlanta in a minute. Wow.
Wait, you've been to Atlanta before?
Yep. Two times actually.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, I've been to the states like quite a few times in my life. Just cause you know lived in New York for a bit. Um, in NYC, the Big Apple, and
Wait,
right.
so what country are you in right now?
I'm in Slovenia. I'm in Ljubljana. That's
Is that where you're trying to like stay at?
uh I think so. Yeah. So far, that is the plan. Um, I don't have any inclinations of moving to the states as of now, or anywhere for that matter, because I have it good here. It's not as expensive as it could be to live here. I mean, it's getting there, right? But like, um, I guess I can squeeze a solid decade out of this, and I don't know. It just feels comfortable. All my friends are here. I'm doing my masters right now, so I'm kind of busy with that. Um, I don't know. I'm just chilling, so no need to move if you're comfortable. You know,
What's the language out there?
Slovenian or Slovene rather. Um, I'm from
You speak it?
yeah, I'm from Croatia originally, so that's like a neighboring country to Slovenia. Um, and the languages are fairly similar. Back when, basically up until what from 1945, so right around the time the war ended, to up until what 1991, I think. Uh, it was basically a unified country, former Yugoslavia, right? All of those neighboring countries were part of a single entity. And yeah, when that fell apart, then everyone just kind of went their own ways. But I don't know, there's not a lot of cultural difference, and yet you're somehow, when you're in Slovenia, you're kind of closer to, you feel Europe close to you, right? So, like, I kind of wanted that. Just, geography wise, you're closer to fucking Germany, for instance, um, than I would be if I stayed home. So that's kind of a good influence to have if you're trying to do
Makes
creative
sense.
stuff. Yeah. No.
Wait, so what exactly are you trying to do like with your degree?
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking of. Well, no, not really. I mean, I was up until a few years ago. I was thinking of staying in academia and get like a teaching position and do the formal route of hey, it's a 9 to 5, but not really. And then I kind of gave up on that when I discovered streaming, or rediscovered streaming, rather. Um, and that came on the heels of like me feeling very disillusioned with academia. I couldn't really do the things I wanted to do. Everything felt so super formalized, very political in a more formal sense, and it just kind of felt bad. And then I kind of opted to just continue doing my masters, not even fish for a teaching position. And I don't know. I'm trying to like get the content thing going in terms of like I want it to be at least self sustainable one day. Um, if not that, then I'll probably do like independent research or maybe even take the corporate route. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still early in the master's process, so when it comes time to think about that, I'll have a more coherent answer. Right now, I'm just
What's
chilling.
what's your dream kind of content that you'd want to make?
Honestly, I just want to make all of it. That's kind of the point, right? I like doing the gaming shit. That's kind of my bread and butter, not financially, but like that's how I came up. And I also like doing the debate stuff. I also like arguing with dipshits online as well. So I don't know, maybe merge the two somehow. Get the vlog stuff going. I have some stuff recorded that I'm gonna upload on my second channel. Um, it's the same channel that I uploaded our conversation to. So maybe get that going as well. I don't know. We'll see. I That's kind of my greatest strength and also my greatest weakness. I really enjoy doing all of it, right? And I like having outs. Like when I get bored with something, I can do a bunch of different things to kind of supplement that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
doing it
respect
wrong.
that. I well, okay. There's when it comes to content, there's a part of me that has this hunch of like when people answer vaguely, when they answer like I just want to make content or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that actually I feel is the best approach to it. Where it's not that it's that there isn't really a good narrowed down answer because there's always like a it's a I want to make what I want to make. It's like I asked a person, a musician, like, or I didn't ask them. I was like sitting next to them, two guys, and one of them is like, "Okay, what kind of music are you trying to make?" And the guy was like, "Whatever music I make," because he was just doing it for the love of the game. He was just doing it just like he made some. You could label it, you could put it into labels, but the labels are kind of like afterthoughts. Like the genres are afterthoughts of like, oh, what does this music fall into? Okay, this one's kind of like R&B. This one's kind of like EDM. This one's kind of like hip hop. Like it fits into these things like after it's already consumed. But he just wanted to like he kept on pushing and he's like yeah, yeah, but like what kind of music do you want to make, like what kind of genre? And the guy answering, like in his mind it's like it's there's not even any point to answering because what am I gonna like if I know the genre, let's say I can pinpoint the genre of what music I want to make, is that gonna change anything? Like
Absolutely not.
possibly stand to do, the only thing it could possibly do is put a restriction, like a mental box around my like creativity of like, okay, I want to make this kind of music, oh this is the kind of music, and then I go and seek out that thing. Like it can only limit your creativity to put a label on it. But if you're just like totally open to, oh yeah, it's just whatever I decide to make, whatever I feel like making. Today I might make this, tomorrow I might make that. It depends on what I'm in the mood for, how I've changed over the years. Like you're leaving yourself open to just make content just for the love of it. And I mean like, yeah, sure you can find a formula to like Mr. Beast your way into being successful on YouTube and with streaming or whatever, but like if you're not enjoy if you compromise your enjoyment of it, like the drug of numbers is so powerful that it's just going to send you down a slippery slope, and you're just going to compromise more and more and more to get more and more numbers, chase more and more of the high, and at a certain point, it's like, what's the difference between this and like a 9 to 5 that you don't like if you're doing it for the same motivation, which is to just get by and make money or whatever, satisfy some animalistic craving of like having financial security rather than actually doing it for what you love, you know?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with fucking music. Or, obviously, it kind of fits the shoe of, like, any fucking creative endeavor whatsoever, but especially when it comes to music, like, why would you limit yourself to anything whatsoever? Like, I don't know, that just kind of seems stupid. But I also kind of get the
Yeah.
argument of, like, oh, if you wanna, if you're just starting out, you kind of want to create certain consistency with what you're doing, so that might kind of get in the way potentially, which I get, but then again, it kind of stifles creativity.
Yeah. I'm a no compromises kind of um like I've been doing YouTube for so long and I've had so many ups and downs. We talked about this a little before, but I don't ever want to go down the path again of being moved by the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think even from the outside, if people don't see it, even if you put on the best appearances of like, oh, I'm having so much fun and this is the dream job or whatever, deep down, people who do that will wake up and feel like a slave.
Mm-hmm. True. True. That's 100% true.
So I respect the answer. I respect when people don't really have an answer for, oh, this is the kind of content I want to make, you know? I respect it when they're like, I honestly, it's whatever I feel like it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to expect people who are still, on the smaller end of things, on like when you're like a small creator, to keep any kind of consistency, either in terms of like your output or just how you present it, because like a lot of stuff can get in the way, and then when it does, you just kind of have to, I feel like the same argument could be made about, I don't know, small people, like small creators and their non-existent schedules. There's a reason why small creators most often do not have a set schedule. It's because they're working all the time. They have a day job, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
kind of ridiculous to expect them to have that. But when you, it's always a double-edged sword. Like when you don't have that, it's much more. I'm not gonna say impossible. It's obviously not, but like you have to rely on like lucky breaks if you don't have consistency. If you want to
yeah.
get
You're taking
noticed.
the hard path.
Yep.
You're taking the hard path. But I believe in this like easy come, easy go type of thing where, I mean, if you take the easy path to come up, people they fall off so quickly. You don't give the people what they want, then they'll abandon you like effortlessly, you know.
Mm-hmm. True. True. Especially if
And I
it's like
think
a
the
fan
funnest,
dynamic, right?
yeah, I think the funnest dynamic to have for like a YouTuber, I think the funnest experience for a YouTuber would be to like be a big YouTuber, but to treat it like you're a small YouTuber. Treat it like, it doesn't really matter. I could upload whatever. I'm not going to get a community guideline strike because nobody's really going to report my video. I have like a small community of maybe like a few commenters, and I could reply to all their comments. I think like being in the position to gain the benefits of being a big YouTuber, like earning the kind of money that can sustain you from that, but also not letting it totally consume you to where you can have a life outside of it and you can go do other things and not have such a strict schedule and just stream, hop on recording whenever you feel like it. I honestly, that's like the dream experience for me.
Mm-hmm. But how do you? Okay, I mean, obviously your monetary situation is a bit different than for like most people and shit. But I'm still thinking in terms of like, would you ever want this to be? I forgot if you mentioned this already. Would you ever want this to be sustainable monetarily, or do you just not care about that like at all?
Um, definitely. I mean, I think like everyone that makes YouTube videos, I think it's if somebody tells you that they don't really care about the views at all and all that stuff. I think they like we're human beings. I think that they're lying to a certain extent, or maybe they're lying to themselves. Maybe they actually believe it. But like yeah, I'd love to turn this into a career. Like I have the money to coast for the rest of my life, but I don't have the money to actually I don't have the money to create the kind of content I want to make for the rest of my life. I don't have the money to pay for like VFX guys to make the kind of like cool edits that I want to make and all this stuff. Like I have like my ambitions have adjusted to my situation. Yo, I want to make millions and I want to start an anime studio in the United States and I want like there's so many things I want to do now. So yeah, I have a lot of desires for sure and being big on YouTube, like the money from YouTube would be nice for sure, but having a I'm not going to say that I want like a super large following, but having like 20 people comment on each video, man, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If it's like I think the dream is to have kind of like an insular community that shows up for you and you only. Like not for the content necessarily, but just for you as a person who's putting it out, right? That would be that's the dream for most people, I guess.
By the way, I was okay, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts.
All right,
So
hit me up.
I'm going to this event, this like networking event in Houston, like early January, like right after New Year's, basically.
Okay.
And there's going to be like hella investors there, and there's going to be like developers and all kind like engineers and everybody like that. And so I'm talking to some of the people that I'm going with, some like mutual friends who are going with me, and we get to the conversation of like some of them had app ideas and all this stuff, and we're talking about it. I think like totally out of nowhere thought, but we were talking about it, and I wanted it's something I want to go deep into, like, but it feels there's barriers in my creativity when it comes to this, but something about it is really enticing, which is when it comes to like being creative in creating software or using technology in some kind of way. I always felt like always when I always felt like for like a year or two I felt like the holy grail of being able to push your creativity to the absolute maximum when it comes to like finding a way to use technology to create something, right? Like was some kind of a dating app.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is like for example, YouTube originally started out as a dating app, like broadcasting yourself. It was a way to upload videos of yourself so that you can find people who you click with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And people still kind of to this day kind of use it as a dating app because like, you know, like there's a lot of like, you know, Minecraft YouTubers and like Pokemon YouTubers that like groom children, you know? But so like I guess they still use it in that way kind of, but that's neither here nor there. But I like the swiping mechanic of the dating app today and just the mechanics of what exists out there, it feels like a thing that might help some people, but in the process of trying to reach all the people to where it finally lucks out and helps someone to connect with someone, it it feels like it ultimately does more damage, like in the long term, net negative, in terms of making people super picky, making them really superficial, making them see like 50 new people every single day as like, oh, it's so many options, another option, I feel like the swiping mechanic encourages this attitude of like of yeah, you don't like somebody, just abandon them, just let go. Like no, don't worry about trying to like improve them or work on your issues together. If you don't like someone, just move on to the next person. And obviously, like that's that attitude isn't like an exclusive thing to the dating apps or whatever. But I feel that that attitude is what is the root of so many of the issues within the dating market, and it's exacerbated. It's further, you know, fueled by these apps. I feel that these apps are doing a net negative. Like they're giving people a what seems like an easy option. They're playing into like their desire for like safety and like it plays into people's instincts, which is what gets them to use it and pay for it and get so addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like I think it's hurting more people than it's helping, and the people that it's helping to find a relationship, it's like okay, if you poison someone and then sell them on the cure, are you really helping them? You know, like by making the dating market as a whole way worse, and then allowing someone the opportunity to find a partner in a situation where people rely on it to find a partner rather than people going like, okay, we don't have this easy like swiping thing as an option, so maybe let's find other mechanics, other ways in society to connect with each other. I just felt like for the past couple of years, I would have this thought like once every few months of like, I want to create like 20 dating apps and just try out different mechanics and see what works, what doesn't, what gets people to join and what gets people to use it, but mainly what makes like relationships genuinely better. Like I'm just trying to think, is there a kind of well, first I want your take on if you think it's making the dating market better or worse, because like you know, it's not that we have to agree on that obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but like you know that I'm hinging what I'm about to say off of that. So is there a way to use technology and like okay, that's my condition, right? Technology, there's obviously like ways, I mean there's tons of ways to make situations better for people, but let's say if I want to create something for the masses, right? I want to have the best of both worlds. I want to appeal to the masses, give people an easy route to getting into relationships and all that stuff, whatever they're looking for. But also, I want to use the technology to genuinely make the dating market better, net positive, like generally, not for like it doesn't have to every single person, obviously, but just a net positive for the dating market? Is there a way to use technology to create a platform or a movement or like something? You know, it doesn't even have to. I'm imagining it as like it probably won't even resemble a dating app. It would probably look like something else entirely. People would think it's something else, but indirectly it helps the dating market or something like that. You know? What do you think?
That's kind of the that's the last thing you just said. I feel like that's kind of the nexus of the thing, right? Um, it won't look like a any kind of worthwhile alternative to the quote unquote stale dating market or like the staleness it offers as ingenuity kind of through already established dating apps and shit like that. At least when it comes to like the big ones, that's what their main selling point is, like more of the same, right? Ultimately that's what that is. But like I don't know. It feels like a lot of shit needs to change. What I would kind of poke at here is maybe the idea that a successful dating app should be, um, and again, I'm going off the cuff here. I'm not a dating expert by any chance. I just fucking fight incels online. That's what I do. In terms of the dating discourse and shit. But like maybe the the idea here would be to create like a an app or just like a place online where different subcultures would be able to date. Like maybe people from the same city and them and only them. Maybe people that make like a tech, fucking a tech bro dating app, for instance, or like a
Mm.
a fucking, I don't know, market enthusiast or like market watcher dating apps. You know, shit like that. Dating apps for musicians, dating apps for. I have no idea if such a thing exists already. I would assume it doesn't, at least on like a mass scale, right? But I would maybe, I don't know, I see that as kind of a thing where that would probably kind of scratch the itch I would imagine most people have when it comes to shit like this, and maybe just um, I don't know. I used Tinder and Bumble like a fair bit, right? And what I kind of realized is the problem, quote unquote. It's the lack of it's the lack of the. It doesn't really create a space where people can articulate. Okay, now's the time to take this IRL. I think that's what kind of lacks. Um, the technology itself, the apps themselves, don't really they foster a culture that's not IRL oriented, which I kind of think defeats the whole purpose of dating apps. At one point, you're supposed to take it IRL, and in my experience, that's I don't know. I mean, obviously it happens, and it has happened, but like it doesn't happen nearly as much as it should, I guess. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a very you can take it like a billion different ways. Honestly, what's the gathering about? Like, what's the why are you going to?
So it's just this like there's this I mean it's a religion technically. It's called Ismailis. It's like a branch of Islam, and I was born into it. But you know, like my beliefs are like well, I kind of stopped believing in it from like when I was like really little, and most of the people here question it, but it's sort of there's like benefits to being in the religion
Mm-hmm.
that like business benefits and things like that. Like for example, this which I'm gonna here I just DM'd you the link. It's this event right here, IPN Summit. So IPN is Ismaili Professionals Network. So there's all these like resources. You know how people talk about like the Jews having all this like resources and all this stuff in their community, in their religion. Like these, the Ismailis, this like small branch of Islam, kind of tries to like model their religion. Like, bro, you hear it in the leadership, in the Ismaili leadership. They try to, they want to be like the Jews, bro. It's actually
Uh
so weird.
huh.
They're like, oh yeah, we want to be more like Jews. I'm like, bro, you want to be like the most hated group in the world? Like, what exactly are you saying here? You know, but you know, that's whatever. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, this is like, so IPN Ismaili Professionals Network. It's like a way for all the like businessmen or whatever people that are trying to like start something and like find jobs and things like that. It's like a mini like a mini LinkedIn, although it's not like a platform, but it's just like a community of like people that you know want to take their job super seriously and show up and oh look at me fancy wearing the suits and they want to get rich and things like that. Um, it's a lot of like it's like a mini corporate world in this religion. So
Mm-hmm.
they have these events like all over the states. They'll have like a rant like IPN networking event and things like that. But then every few years they'll have like a really big one, and it'll be like for the entire nation to go to, and that's the like really big one. So I don't usually go to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was one like a few months ago that one of my friends went to, and it was at somebody's like just somebody's house or whatever. It's like it's not like a super massive community, but um yeah, this is like the big one, and there's gonna be like that like 10,000 plus people going to it probably.
That's amazing, dude. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
just in terms of
it's
like the
pretty cool. It's pretty
opportunities,
cool.
right? Wow.
Yeah, I'm mostly just going to like have fun. I mean, this is a corporate type of like most of it is going to be appearances, most of it's going to be for show. A lot of it is not like there is a lot of gatekeeping. There is a lot of like um marketing opportunities when really the opportunities, most of them are not really there. They're just like ways to get people in, to like get them to work for that, like get them to put in some kind of work or buy some kind of product or buy some course that they're selling or whatever. Like it exists over here too, you know. It's there's a lot of greed involved in this, but um yeah, it's I'm going mostly for fun, but I'm like, hey, might as well, like while I'm there, like let me look for some developers to like work on some projects with, you know. Let me look for some like hey, if there's somebody there who is like good with computers, like hey, let me see if I can get them to help me make a headless MacBook Pro. You know what a headless MacBook Pro is?
I have no idea. What is that?
So I have a MacBook Pro. I have an old one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super old actually. It's pretty new. It's like a 2021 MacBook Pro. It's very new. And I would still be using it to this day if it didn't break. I had to get a new one, like a 2022 one, recently because the screen broke on that one. Everything else works. It's just the screen that's broken. You can plug it into an external monitor and it'll work perfectly fine. But but I want to do a thing. If you look up headless MacBook Pro or just headless MacBook,
Mm-hmm.
let me look it up. I guess just send you a link to headless MacBook. End up having it as a Pro is obviously better, but um, yeah, it's people that just like if you just look at this image right here,
Oh, I'm looking at it
it's
now.
people
Yeah,
that
it's
yeah,
okay.
they will cut off the monitor part of their MacBook, and then they'll basically have a desktop with a keyboard, a trackpad, the ports, the headphone, like the speakers. It'll basically be everything that a desktop has. That's way smaller, thinner, way more portable. It's basically a portable desktop, and a lot of people have made a lot of really cool videos on headless MacBooks. There are some issues with it because like antenna is in the monitor itself, so you have to actually take it out and like reroute it, and there's like weird things you have to do. But it's like most of the people that make these videos are doing it with like old MacBooks that they buy on Facebook Marketplace for like 500 bucks, and they're just plugging it into a monitor. But like I actually have like a pretty like highly spec'd, not like totally spec'd out, but like a really expensive I mean I was planning on using it for like 10 years. Like it would be a great like main machine that a lot of people would really want to use, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I could take that, and what I want to do, which I haven't seen anybody else do, is make a headless MacBook, but make it super portable because I'm not going to plug it into a monitor. I want to plug it into one of these um AR glasses, like the AR glasses that show you a screen in front of you, like
Uh-huh.
this X Real One Pro, whatever. You look at this one, you could take that, plug it into any like laptop or whatever, and just have the screen on there, and you can see the screen. Nobody else can see the screen. So I want to make like a YouTube video, or probably a few of them, because I feel like it would do pretty well on YouTube, of like making a headless MacBook with the AR setup, so nobody, because like it's already private because there's no monitor, but I'm like, this is super private. It's super small. You could put this in your backpack, and then you're out somewhere. It would look ridiculous to have these glasses on as they already do. But I think it would be so cool to like make it like that, and then like I could just be like out chilling like in the back seat of my friend's car or whatever, something like that. And I just think it's like cool. I just like imagining these like cool aesthetics of like, all right, I'm on the headless MacBook, just the keyboard and trackpad, and I'm looking through my glasses, seeing the monitor and like running everything on there. I think that would be super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
So
this looks awesome. This looks awesome.
so there's a few ideas. Yeah, there's a few ideas that I have that I want to go to this IPN summit event and like try to find people like, hey, can you help me with this? Because honestly, I don't know engineering for sure. I am not confident in my ability to make a MacBook headless,
Mm-hmm.
but I have it. It's like a $2,500 MacBook, so I feel like I feel like I might be able to find someone who would want to come on board and say, hey, you know what, I'll help you with this. So I feel like there's opportunities to do cool stuff like that with that. So that's the event, and over like the next like couple weeks, I'm sure, until the event shows up, which it's like January 2nd or whatever. I'm probably gonna be talking with my friends like IRL over here about all like hella ideas, things we could pitch to investors or just sell to somebody else or whatever, just a ton of ideas. And I've been asking everybody about like dating apps in particular because that one, I think if someone can solve dating apps, if someone can make it have the mechanics that a company would want it to have, which is like it's used and it's profitable and all that stuff, while at the same time being a net positive, like actually genuinely making the dating market better. I think like that whatever mechanics they would have to go through in the process to make that would be enlightening. It would be like internet changing. It would be things that would probably change other platforms of social media, like that they would implement features and like I just feel like the creative journey of trying to go through and make a dating app that actually works like that would be so like how scientists just smash protons together in particle accelerators just hoping to find something, and they find stuff, they find other stuff that was totally unintended. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the unintended consequences of making a dating app that actually makes it better, it would be like the ripple effects on the internet would be crazy.
True.
I don't know, just a hunch though, just a feeling.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's like I don't know. God damn, dude. Like I've never. I don't know. You probably won't believe me, but I've never used a Mac in my life, like ever. I've always been on like either desktops or Windows laptops. I've never even. I mean, I've had friends who are very fucking Apple pilled, but like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I've never been around this stuff, and I would really want to give it a go at one point, just to kind of see the hype for myself, right? But like, oh, maybe a headless would be the way to go, right? I don't know. We'll see.
Possibly. I don't think it's worth it to do a headless MacBook. Honestly, I can't. You know, it is expensive, and like I can't sell this for anything reasonable. Like if I tried to sell my laptop, um, like the broken monitor. I mean, I tried taking it to Apple, and they said it would cost $2,000 to replace the monitor on it to fix the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's absurd. And then I tried taking it to some like guy who does like computer repair, and he said it would take $1,800 because the parts have to be bought from Apple, and they overcharge the hell out of it. So it's being in the Apple ecosystem is it can be painful for sure, and the problems never really go away. Even the I'm going to avoid the problems of Windows or whatever by going to Apple. You're going to encounter problems, um, but like the headless thing, like if you look on YouTube, people have issues with the Bluetooth. They have issues with like the trackpad stops working one day. They have issues with like it detecting the thing as the main monitor when really you want it to detect another monitor as the main monitor, and you can't actually do what you want to do on it. Like this is more of like a enthusiast type thing, and they'll say in the videos, "Oh, you can build this thing for $400 buying a used old MacBook or whatever." But like that's just their cope to like justify like wanting to do this project to like all the people that tell them that this is a stupid financial decision.
True.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
real. It really is a stupid financial decision. Like the MacBooks, they usually break. Like people don't make content on this for a long time. I just, if I sell my MacBook right now, I'm probably gonna get like $1,500 out of it, and I'd rather just like I'd rather get some fun out of it and create some videos that I think could potentially get like I think if I do it right and I edit it professionally, which I never really do for any of my videos, but I think if I did it and made a thumbnail and everything and made it like, you know how the tech YouTubers do all like the minimalistic thing with like good lighting and all that stuff, I think the videos could clear 100,000 views each. You know, I think it could drive a lot of. I think I can get monetized off of those videos. Like I can get enough subscribers to get monetized just off of the videos from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is like it's an investment into like the future of the channel, and then maybe after all that is said and done, before the MacBook starts having a lot of problems, maybe I could sell it for like 1,000, you know.
Yeah. No.
But it's not a good financial investment, by the way.
No. Not at
Like
all.
it's not a good financial thing.
Not at all. Not a financial advisor by any chance, by the way. Full disclaimer, but like I don't know, it just feels very. Even to me, it feels clown shit. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
This is going to
freaking.
be clunky, and I'm taking a huge risk. And you know what? It might not even work out. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, and I'm not going to buy an X Real Pro or anything like that until I'm like absolutely, absolutely sure that I can make it work after I've already made the headless MacBook and plugged it into monitors and stuff like that to see if it works. And even then, I'm probably just going to buy like the like uh AR glasses thing from like Best Buy so I can return it in their 30-day return period and just make videos in those 30 days, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, no, that makes sense.
So that, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. But like any, what you? Okay, this is kind of a pretty vague thing to ask, but like, do you have any plans after the conference? Like, what do you expect to achieve with it in terms of like how do you plan on like looping it back to your current work or thinking or whatever? Because that's usually
So,
what I'm kind of interested in when it comes to shit like this, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I was talking to my friend earlier today, and we were literally just talking about this, and because we plan on going together, and I'm like, oh, let's like get an Airbnb, and then we haven't talked about it in a while, so and he has other friends who also want to go, and he's like, oh, they want to get an Airbnb too, and he's like, oh yeah, but it's probably not going to happen. You know, they're not even like responding to the texts and things like that. But we were talking about it, and he was telling me, he's like, yo, I was watching these YouTube videos of these guys. I feel like you would make videos. You'd be good to make videos like them, because he knows me IRL, and like uh, I'm like actually the kind of content I'm making right now is not the kind of content I mean, I actually enjoy what I'm making. I enjoy the content I'm making, but there's things I want to do
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just not able to do right now. So I'm like, I'm gonna start with that. New year, it's easy for me to go like, oh, New Year's resolution and all that stuff. So it'll be a new mindset. And the main thing I'm hoping to get out of it, there's a few things I'm hoping to get out of the conference, but the main thing is I want to. I'm going there more as an excuse to travel than anything else. But I want to go there and make a video about like visiting. It's in Texas, by the way. I want to go and explore Texas and make like a prime example of the kind of video that's like my dream content that I want to make that I could show as an example to everybody else. If they're like, hey, what kind of content do you like making? What kind of content would you want to make? If they want to collab with me on it, if they want to help me here, if they have any opportunities or things like that, they want to travel with me. And I want to make a video out of that as like an example. Like this is exactly like the content that I love the most that I want to make, and it's the highest level of what I want in my life is to be experiencing the life where I can make these kinds of videos. So I got a lot of plans while I'm out there of like I want to go try like Texas barbecue. I never had that. I hear that's like great. Like there's some restaurants that will like smoke meat for like 18 hours overnight, and it's like super. I want to go try that. I want to go. I want to go to a gun range. I never shot guns before, and Texas they got a lot of guns, so I want to go play around with that for a little bit. Like there's a lot of plans I want to do while I'm there, but there's what I want to get out of it is mainly just like I want to make some friends out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I want connections of people who are like people who are genuinely passionate about something, people who like they want to get into an industry because they see problems with it and they want to fix it. People who would actually consume the products that they create, not some like, oh, I'm some corporation that doesn't even like interact with the audience. Like, dude, Susan Wojcicki, who is like CEO for, didn't even have a YouTube channel. She didn't even know how to make She didn't know how to upload YouTube videos, and she was the CEO of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just want to build a team. I want to build a team of people of like if you get into a business and you just want to be successful in the business, like you just want to earn a bunch of money. It is, I'm not going to say it's easy, but the easier path, especially if you want to do it alone, is to just capitalize off people's worst tendencies, fearmonger them, and make feed into their like sinful desire and things like that. And you can feed into people's like their need for validation and all these different things. Like I talk to these guys who like run these like drop shipping stores and all that stuff, and it's just like it's unapologetically unethical to say, like that's the best way I could describe it. And I'm like, if I really want to genuinely make something good, if I want to create something that can compete with with in the same industry as other businesses, where those businesses have no moral principles, they have no restrictions on themselves of what they're not willing to do. I want a team of people. I want a team of people who are all gonna like hop on Discord, help each other out, hold each other accountable. I mean, you've probably seen this a million times already. People just trying to do things like this, but I want to like super seriously like get hella people and just try to form a team of people that actually have their own dreams, their own passions, their own um like criticisms they have for the industries that they want to get into, things that they want to see changed, things that
Mm-hmm.
the ways that they're like, I want to give this back to people, not just extract this from the industry. I want the industry to change in this way or that way. People that have some kind of a vision like that, and just grow it from there or start working on things together from there. That's there's a few things I want to work on that I want to like spearhead that I want to start, and we'll there's a lot we'll talk about them over time. I mentioned one of them last time we talked, but like over time, whenever we talk, I'll probably bring up like the projects that I want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
and like slowly go through the progress and then pick your brain on it and things like that. But I want to get like a team of people to like basically do what we're doing right now and also link up and work on these things together with as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. That makes absolute sense in terms of like, oh, that's how you kind of get getting feedback while you're doing things. I feel like is much more worthwhile than like making something and then letting it fall flat on its face because you didn't have any external voices kind of guiding you or just like giving you ideas on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very much a fan of that. Wait, so you said you're free till when you gotta leave today? I mean,
Um, probably probably in like 30 minutes, I'm gonna head out
okay,
and go watch this like UFC fight with
okay,
my cousin.
cool, cool. Sadly, I'm gonna have to end it here because there's someone in my DMs that wants to chat really badly. They
All
have
right,
a few contentions with me, so I gotta respect the fight. You
no
know.
problem. No problem. I'll see
Yeah.
you. I'll see you
See
later.
you. Have a good one. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Be careful. Okay. Let me see. How do I do this? Wait, I gotta get tea. Okay. Be right back. This is Duck's server. Okay. I gotta get tea. I'm sorry, boys. We're doing this. Good luck. Okay. Right. Good luck. Have a good one. Were people seriously thinking that's Steven or what? Alright, Duck, it is time. Time for the reckoning. Jesus. Wait, how do I change my shit? Okay. Okay. Now let me do main. Or not. Wait. I want to get Uno on the screen. Scuffed Uno, okay? Wait, why am I not? What? Already have an account? Yes, I do. Home. Uno. Solo. I want to have all of these out. Okay, and I want to add, what? 2 bots. Alright. Jesus. So what? Do I just make a new Uno? Add source. What the fuck? Wait, window capture. Okay. Select the window to capture Chrome.exe. Okay. Wait, this was badly done. Hold on. Fuck. Not even the display capture, just... No. What am I doing? Jesus. I need to do... window capture. Select the window to capture Scuffed Uno. Okay. Now I need to make a new camgirl scene because I fucked that up so bad. Video capture device. Integrated camera. Okay. Wow. Paste. Alright, here we are. Here we are, boys. And source Scene. Cam girl. Okay. Okay, based. We got our tea. We're here. We're queer. Hold on. I just need to. No, I usually can't do it.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, not much. We read through your article. I realized that I have a problem of processing words while reading them without just like silently reading them, but we're still good because, I remembered everything that I wanted to say. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
go ahead and introduce yourself to the stream. Welcome in. I don't know if you're streaming too, but hi.
Hi, chat. I'm streaming as well. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a blade of chaos across all platforms known to man. Some of them quite well explored, some of them not really. I go by Neo Blade of Chaos on Kick. That's where I usually stream. I stream pretty much every day, unless something on the personal life front kind of comes up, and that's the only scenario in which I'm not present for my daily grind. I do anything from Uno with friends to fucking politics. So I do philosophy stuff
Oh,
as
cool.
well. Stuff like that. I'm also just getting my master's degree in cultural studies. So my snobbish way of approaching things kind of has a use outside of streaming as well, I
I
guess.
see, yeah.
So
That's cool.
that's
That's
pretty
cool.
much
No, I
it.
definitely read I think we have like an anti-intellectual chatter that took issue to that, but I was like, let's not for you then. Like, this is obviously somebody writing about a topic that is, interesting to them, and it's very well written. It's I think contains your concept, although it like obviously there's not a lot of prescriptiveness and like what we can do to, I guess maybe it's up to the individual to question their own position and whether or not they're suffering from moral luck. I guess I don't know,
Hmm.
but I'll let you speak.
But how? Okay, so given that you just read through the thing, and it's been a minute since I wrote it, like a couple of weeks, maybe 10 days. How about we take the more unconventional route, and you just tell me what did you think of the whole thing, like before I get into my spiel.
I thought it was well written. If some of the points, obviously, the preamble, I'm not familiar with the conversation, the discussion panel. You linked it, I think, in there, so I
Mm-hmm.
can go and find it. I would probably be able to derive more value from your writing if I went back and like, I guess, reference specifically what that conversation was like. So that you had, it seemed like you spoke positively about it, like that conversation. So I'd be interested to see like what way the I don't know if it's explicitly stated in the article, but what way the concept of moral luck, I guess, did it transform like that exchange? Would you say that people were like weighing their arguments against that concept in the discussion?
Okay, so like a couple of things. I mean, I believe it was like I didn't because I was doing something else before I got here. I didn't get a chance to listen in on you going through the thing, but I remember seeing. I skimmed through your chat a little bit, and I remember seeing someone saying something like, someone asked you verbatim, like, do you think that online debates change opinions ultimately, or something like that, right? I don't want to misrepresent, but I feel like
Yeah.
that was kind of the gist of the question. Um,
Right.
so I believe I kind of go back and forth on this, and it's kind of, I don't know, vacuous to even speak on this if you're like a streamer yourself, but I feel like the concepts people come up in this space can be very useful, even they can kind of have a use even outside of it, right? Even though the space
Yeah.
itself can feel very constrained at times and very claustrophobic. Um, the main reason why I kind of got to doing this was because I felt like the streaming world feels very unexplored to people I talk to that are kind of outside of this space, meaning anyone from punk rock kids to fucking academics, right? So like, not a lot of
Mhm.
people know what's going on. That being said, it was kind of made. The article itself is just a kind of attempt to kind of bridge the two worlds, if that makes sense. And what's kind
I
of
see.
important for this is that I don't think that the conversation itself, like the one that I initially linked, was all that productive at the end of the day. I just feel like because it always kind of derails into ad hominem attacks and pretentiousness that kind of derives from that. But I feel like, I don't know, regardless of whether or not the conversation went well, quote unquote, the concept of moral luck feels, and I feel like you would agree with this given your stream you did a couple of weeks ago. The
Mhm.
concept itself is very applicable to a variety of different situations and groups and people and things like that. So like I don't know. It feels like even though the conversation itself didn't do uh, all that, didn't produce a lot of happiness, it's
Mhm.
still kind of proved useful in that like a term
Yeah.
that's very useful was coined at that time. So, it's more of a let's keep the history in intact. That's ultimately why I sourced it the
I
way I
see.
did.
Yeah, and it does well. Like I said, I described it as insular, but obviously, like my audience, this is obviously very well understood. The people reference the concepts. Even Critique of Hassan, we're probably on the same side. He's not. There are better people if you want to learn history. Obviously, if you want to learn anything about theory, and some of his prescriptions that are informed strictly through his I guess strict ideological adherence to like Marxism. Some of his prescriptions, some of the things that he's said on stream kind of end up sounding incredibly like detached, incredibly like uninformed, even if they come from a like I don't know, a place of education. What was I gonna say? Sorry, let me round my point back up.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, no, I would say that I largely agree that the concept of moral luck is definitely something that is useful to like these online spaces where we're discussing politics. But I guess what I worry about is that I run into the same problem when I get people to engage with any sort of feminist, discussion or challenging misogyny. It's that people have a like almost a reflexive defense of their own experience, like their own life experience, like to a degree that I don't know how we overcome that. Even on the left, I think that it always comes off a certain way when you're telling people to check their privilege or understand. Even like my stream, I worry like if I talk too much about, hey, you're a Westerner and you don't understand, the situations and the intricacies of the fucking wars that you're discussing online. It kind of comes off a certain way where people tune out. So I just don't know how to. While I think it's useful for critique, I don't know. I don't think I don't know how to invite people to challenge themselves to be better and more effective political actors, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well,
Or even just better human beings.
I mean, yeah, that's like the age-old question, but like I would go even further. Like I don't know if that's even like people. We're not and pardon me for bringing Destiny up in a conversation like this because like I don't really the stuff he's been up to lately. Like I don't fuck with
Mm,
it like one bit. But like uh at one point I remember him saying that like, and I largely agree with this, like humans are not inherently truth-seeking machines, right? We're not that's
mm-hmm.
not what we do. What we do is we seek comfort, right? What is important to do
Right.
here, and I feel like you can kind of relate to this since I've heard you say on more than one occasion that you're an ex alt writer kind of person.
Mm,
Um, Something moved you to the other side, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day. So the process is working. Um, what we have to have is faith in the process that it's going to continue working, and we also need um, to provide pushback when necessary. That's kind of the main point.
Yeah.
Hassan doesn't really welcome it, for a very obvious reason. I feel like he's very clout hungry and very driven by that side of things. He's very the monetary aspect of his business is more important to him, evidently, than any kind of as he would like to call it, journalistic integrity. That much is apparent, right? But like, even beyond that, I feel like in this space, what we tend to do is just like present ourselves as like these arbiters of not necessarily the truth, but just like truth seeking. And but the truth in and of itself is a bit more simplified, right? What we can do is we can just have conversations like this in what we presume to be good faith, and then have faith in the process, in the conversation, in the act of persuasion, right? But like, I don't know. I guess it's like an open-ended thing, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, there's also the concept of so this is a productive conversation for me. I feel like this is useful. It gets my mind moving in interesting like ways, and we can theory craft about certain problems that we think people are facing. So that's useful to us as individuals. Now, is it useful as content? Like when I answered the question is, do I think online debates change minds? My response to it was kind of in line with yours, but it's more concise that the rhetoric that is derived from these conversations can be, if it can be, if it is concise, if it is impactful, and if it's responding to a specific point that somebody in that person's daily life might also repeat, it's certainly useful. There's certainly like utility to that. The point of the critique of like, should people like Hassan, if they make a decent point, should those voices have that ability to almost like be amplified, or should we be okay with that amplification and how that person came to be in a position where they are the voice that we hear, I guess. Like, I think that, okay, let me try to like summarize. I'm a little bit long-winded, I'm sorry. But
No worries, man.
So when I think the utility of these critiques. So once again, like I think this conversation is interesting. It's decent content. It's, I'm going to be able to use this to grow a platform that I can then use to have further conversations. I can leverage my, my position in this. It's beneficial to me. But in terms of how do we combat the moral luck problem? How do we combat the problem of, because it's obviously like Destiny can make a decent point, but he's also going to make a lot of points that are destructive to like my political ambitions along the way, because he's an inconsistent person.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think that this critique is good to be applied, but the way that we go about critiquing these spaces and etc., we have to worry about getting, I guess what I'm really asking is how do we apply this critique to the people that need it the most? Because you do see certain kinds of people succeeding in this space, succeeding in streaming. I do want to see like a more diverse range of opinions and a more diverse range of experiences in the people that are successful in streaming. But it is also kind of just the audience exists. Those people are a monolith. Those people are going to reinforce the platforms of these people that already have a prominent voice. Like, how do we support people? I guess how do we fix the problem? I don't know. Like, I just don't know, other than just trying to provide parallel platforms. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to apply this, I guess I'm saying.
I mean, the question you're asking ultimately is like, it can only be answered at a point when there's like some sort of a dialectic going on, in terms of like, it kind of goes hand in hand in what someone like Destiny is doing right now, and I would argue that distancing from him makes a lot of sense currently, not just optically, but also like I don't know, morally, I guess, but like even outside of that, it's like you can't penetrate communities that live in a live in a fortress, right? So like,
Right.
what's kind of important here to note is that it has to come from both sides. But the unfortunate thing is that we're the only ones asking these questions. Someone like Hassan or someone like Vosh, even, if we're like talking strictly about left-leaning figures, they're not gonna be the ones asking these questions, and they're the ones that are supposed to be asking them the most and the loudest, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what I'm trying to say is ultimately at the end of the day, the onus is only like 50% on us at the end of the day, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's on us, and I think like where I'm at with it is trying to form an argument that is like that somebody can engage, that somebody, I guess, who's selfish and doesn't have a reason to question the current way that they operate might find benefit in. So like looking at Destiny's community, looking at these communities of these prominent streamers, I guess, well, not necessarily with Hassan, but a lot of them are very weird towards women. They still have the weird sexual objectification of women. They're definitely not feminist communities. Like they have a aversion to that sort of critique from within.
Mm-hmm.
So making the current argument I'm trying to formulate towards those sorts of people is why excluding women, and particularly only including women that you find tolerable, is making your movement less politically effective. Because like that's like kind of where I'm at with that. I think that even the people that are the like loudest like critics of Destiny Online when it comes to like his mistreatment of women and sharing of nudes and shit like that, um a lot of the times they still engage in the same anti-women sentiment from within their community. So it's like, yeah, we're critiquing a problem here, but there's not a streamer benefiting from that is trying to promote the idea that you should challenge your own misogyny in their content. So like that's where I'm at with that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, ultimately, I agree with you. I just think that, like, I don't know, when we're talking about, like, the concept of the only reason why I feel like this idea of, like, moral luck is even being talked about historically, right? If we take the conversation I linked in the article as, like, uh, like the genesis of this, right? Um, it's the only reason why this exists, or like why this is even talked about on a conceptual level, is because there exists like this prevailing fear that us, who are considerably more left leaning, right, that we can fall in the same down the same pitfalls that a right leaning person would, and it exists as like a primarily like a check for yourself, right? It exists like something that it's like a mechanism which allows you, again, strictly conceptually speaking, it's a mechanism that you can employ for yourself to realize, assuming you're like honest in the process, you can kind of realize if you're going down a path you ultimately don't want to go, you don't want to go down. When it comes to other people,
yeah.
it's more so it's more so a moral claim, right? So it's like much less potent, I guess. It's like, oh, you should, or like you ought to act in a certain way that goes like in accordance with your principles and whatnot. But it's, I don't know. It just feels like a ultimately, like when it comes to like what we're doing is, you bring up the sexism thing. Like I agree with you. It's like it's literally everywhere. It's a discursive landmine that you can't really avoid. Um,
Yeah.
and what can be done with this, again, you just have to prove to have more not to sound essentialist or whatever, but like what is expected of us in this situation is to prove that we have more discursive stamina, quote unquote, than the people who are normalizing behaviors we firmly stand against, which would in this case be misogyny, right? So it's not about, you mentioned something to the point of like what we can do is like ultimately like make, I don't know, parallel communities and shit, which that sounds not as productive, but it's more so about like, it's not that we're making parallel communities, is that we're making counter communities that are going to kind of course correct this quote unquote
Right.
online movement. I don't know if this makes sense.
No, that it totally makes sense. What I wanted to ask you, want to network with people. I want to find people who have interesting concepts, who, you know, make posts on their Substacks. Try to find a way to share that through more of a community distribution than an algorithmic distribution. Because I think that's, you know, ultimately going to continue. It's the problem is going to continue because of just the way that this content is served to most people, I think, unless we specifically create a structure of I guess I don't even know I don't know what I'm talking about here, but something there. You know, I'm not an academic. I'm a welder. I'm sorry.
Don't worry
But
about
yeah,
it. It's
we need something there, some kind of community focus, like a central community, a central, like, some way to centralize the discourse that is not determined through I guess viewer count and, you know, performance within a certain platform. That's where I'm at with that.
I mean,
But yeah, I don't have any finer points to make.
no. I mean, that is true. I mean, ultimately, what my project's always been is kind of bridging these. It's like bringing this space, which, by the way, I might end up shooting myself in the foot with this and fucking end up wanting to unalive myself in a video game because it's just a fool's errand. But like, it feels to me like there is potential in this space in terms of like how and by you know what purpose you bridge it with other spaces. So again, with course correcting, or like going back to the point of like moral luck exists as a concept because you employ it, right? It's like you're using this for yourself, and also all of these different spaces, like for example, I don't know, think of a random ass fucking philosophy department in some buttfuck nowhere state no one really knows about, okay? It's like you can there's always a kind of possible I guess dialogue that can happen between those two spaces. Different subcultures can intertwine, different people can intertwine, different people can converse, try and fucking figure out what it is they want to do. Different people can open different discussions, and I feel like that on its own has merit ultimately, and it has political value. If for nothing else, then you know you're able to kind of potentially sway voter opinion, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a, I don't know, it feels like if we don't do this, if we don't bridge these spaces, if I don't come on your stream and your chat calls me a fucking douchebag dumbass who writes shit for idiots, I'm not doing the thing I set out to do, right? So this is supposed to happen. I'm supposed to come on here, and people are supposed to tell me, hey, you're a fucking dumbass for doing this. That is the thing which ultimately starts this whole, it boots up a dialogue that I'm more than willing to have. And I'm kind of saddened by the fact that a lot of people just don't don't wish to engage with on either side, right? The formal education crowd doesn't want to engage with any of this because it feels very, I guess, juvenile to them or just not worthwhile or whatever. And also, there's,
Yeah.
I don't know how long you've been in this, but like a couple of years ago, there was a point where Richard Wolff, the great Marxist scholar, actually dipped his toes in the online debate sphere. It
Hmm.
didn't. It didn't end well, precisely because of that. Right? It's the ivory tower persona that kind of gets in the way of meaningful dialogue. So I don't know. I guess all of these questions are like I feel like us as a society and like functioning as like individuals within a society, we should be able to realize this calling as something that's not extra, but rather as something that's supposed to be done by default. And the fact
Hmm.
that that's not the case, I don't know. It's at best it's saddening. At worst it's awful, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a lot there's a detachment from communities generally, and we probably need to invent new, I guess, ways of engaging and replacements for that natural filtering. Because like I said, I don't think that we engage enough with people around us, and I think that there's a utility for people, especially that find themselves geographically or physically isolated for one reason or another, to engage in this sort of thing online, engage in this sort of discourse online, and just spread it organically, human to human. I think there's definitely a lot of value in these conversations. It's just I just worry that people are just generally losing touch with reality. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There are increasing ways for us to isolate ourselves from the political consequences of our vote. And I think it just comes down to like people don't feel a sense of, especially like in America, I don't we don't feel enough civic responsibility for the more like far away, detached, abstract things that our government is doing. And to a certain extent, we can't even engage with the complexity of it. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just worry people are becoming disillusioned with politics in general. People are becoming disillusioned with like people would rather just read something simple, some stupid drama slop, than engage with an interesting article that is thought provoking and frames a concept fairly well, in my opinion. So like I don't know.
Well,
It's a battle against anti-intellectualism. It's a battle against complexity. It's blah. It's a
no,
lot.
absolutely. I mean,
So
there's like a bunch of fronts you have to keep in check when looking at this. Like going back to the point of we were kind of talking about, you know, what can be done,
mhm.
and like in terms of like how to actually bridge this gap. Uh, I feel like the disillusionment is going to go away the moment we realize that um, just on like a global scale, not just in the United States or just in Europe. I feel like everywhere in the world, shit has, not to sound like a boring doomer or whatever, but I feel like shit has hit the fan, right? On
Yeah.
multiple, on every conceivable level. Like we're far removed from discussions surrounding, I don't know, the morals of every single actor on the political spectrum or whatever. Like we're not even at that level. We're trying to bring back the most baseline civility imaginable. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to. People are gonna have to. I don't know, excusez-moi, but people are gonna have to eat a lot of shit along the way, right? You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get your hands dirty. That's kind of the point. What we're doing here, obviously, it's like we were talking about, like how can we make this entertaining or like more entertaining, more appealing to people, so that we have more of a sway on like their political activity or whatever. But I feel like there's a reason, a very precise reason, at that as to why politics merges so well, at least in this space, with the drama slot that you mentioned, there's a reason why that's the
Mhm.
case. It's like you can kind of embellish politics in this kind of, I don't know, WrestleMania kind of aesthetics, right? You can kind of merge the two together in a way which kind of feels seamless, but what you end up with is what I ultimately talk about, at least subtextually in the article, right? You if you do that and you do only that and nothing but that, you'll end up on a side because you end up getting situated whether you like it or not. You always like moving around. Um, you kind of end up in a position that's not really thankful, not even to you or to people who watch you. What I feel like you do, why I kind of like your role in this space, and why I feel like you're doing a great job, right? Um, hello, hello, hello. Hmm. For whatever
Sorry, you
reason,
dropped out.
yeah, don't worry about it. For whatever reason, I maybe it was my internet. I'm not sure. Where did I?
That's okay.
When did I leave you? What were we? Where
So
were
you were
we?
saying, let's see. I was trying to shit. I panicked that my headphones were the reason that I couldn't hear you. Actually, so I don't even remember. Like, shit. Let me think. Just repeat like the last 15 seconds you
No,
said. Just
I
go
was
back.
just saying that like I don't know. There's a very good reason as to why we're merging politics and drama specifically. Like a lot of people
Right,
want to
right,
see
yeah.
that, and the point to that is to like not
You're
do
talking about like appreciation to the platform, yeah.
yeah, and just like not do one or the other exclusively. The idea is to make the position you're in a position you're comfortable with. What I kind of love
Right.
about what you're doing is that you are very honest about the position you occupy at a given point in time. You're not trying to mask your positions necessarily to achieve a certain goal, which I feel like a lot of people here
Mhm.
end up doing, either because of audience capture or just they kind of and they just kind of end up doing that as kind of a reflex, right? I feel like you
I see.
managed to avoid that pretty skillfully at that, and yeah, I don't know. That's why I kind of fuck with what you're doing, and ultimately why I
I appreciate
messaged you
that.
to talk, just because you know.
I think the thing that I still need to work on is that I appreciate the people that come here and watch my stream. I want to make content that is, that fulfills like a niche that they would enjoy, whether that's dry politics reading in the morning, whether that's more stupid, inane stuff. But ultimately, yeah, that I just want to exist in the space and be a decent influence. And maybe it is maybe the because I had a friend, probably one of the reasons why I'm still engaged in politics, um he was originally the one that said like, hey, I think that your voice, like, you're an empathetic person, your voice is probably something that's needed more in these spaces. And he was, even like a big fan of Destiny and shit like that. So I think that people do recognize that, and hopefully, hopefully the market makes some good things happen for once. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see, because I have the capacity to do this. I'm in a decent financial position, and that's probably one reason why I feel compelled to do what I do instead of just going and, just making money and donating it to somebody that could probably use it better than me. Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to rehash old stuff, and let me know if you're not comfortable discussing this. But like,
No
the
worries.
first thing I've seen of you, like before I even knew who you are, there was this guy who popped up on my feed on YouTube, I believe. His name was something like Perry Gaming, something like that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
it was like a
Purple Pepsi, Purple Perry. Yeah, yeah.
yep.
Purple Perry Gaming.
What was that? Like I
Bigger.
tried listening into that conversation, quote unquote conversation that you guys had, that they uploaded on their YouTube channel. What the fuck was that? What was I look?
So Perry is like. he's an interesting guy. He's funny as fuck. He's very charismatic, but he also is an absolute goddamn sociopath. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know if you're the sort of person that enjoys like the drama slop, like the sort of people who have no scruples, who will go through. And that's kind of what I fell prey to. Like the reason that I got like a-logged and farmed by him for as long as I did, is because I was treating him like a serious person. I don't know. Like basically, that conversation was just depending on which he had like a couple convos that Perry and I had. The original one was like where he was asking me about my abuse, and then there was another one where I think I was talking to him about whether or not he was transphobic, and then like I don't know, like um fuck if I know, man. Like it's good content to have somebody who's passionate about these things and impacted by these things. So like if I have a history with the topics that these drama channels cover, like Queeman, for me to go on there and get farmed over it and have an emotional reaction and crash out and shit like that. Um Now, while I think it's good for us to infiltrate spaces, one space that I don't think there's much use in infiltrating is a space like Harry's fucking stream. I tried to ingratiate myself to this community. I played along with the jokes. I donated money for him to have Chud Logic's baby, and in the end, I think that my point was definitely lost in whatever the fuck that whole saga was. So I don't know. There's an effective way to do what I think you're trying to do, and there's an ineffective way, and I've definitely course corrected from those days. That's all I can say.
But are you like set on wanting to like properly and formally like distance yourself from the drama crowd, or is that something you just want to keep at a distance, kind of, but still engage with it in a healthy way, quote unquote, if that's even possible?
I would say that I'm still engaging in it with a healthy way. I mean, one way I've changed is that I've told Perry, I've insisted to Perry, and there are very few people in the space whose streams I will go on. I am not going on your stream, I'm going to maintain that he has to donate at least $100 to the AFU at this point. So if I'm going to still engage with that space, there has to be a very notable benefit for me, and for Perry, that's it. So yeah, I mean, I still engage. I still have friends in this space. I still have chatters, that I think sensibly like watch a lot of those streamers. So I guess that's how I'm continuing to exist in the space without directly interacting with it. So but I'll still have
Um,
people on for debates. It's fun content. It's just I don't want it to be the center of my content, I think, is where I've changed.
okay, I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of us, if not all of us, at some point uh, have to make that concession in terms of like, oh, I really don't want to do this anymore, to this degree, right? Because
Yeah.
like it doesn't, like, again, it's fun content, but it drains you emotionally, I guess, and socially as well. You can't really
No, yeah.
imagine like that's what I'm like thinking of. Imagine being someone like, I don't know, fucking Nick Diorio or Queeman, or any of these like big fucking Turkey Tom, whoever, any of these like big drama names. That must drive you insane. You must be clinically insane to do this. Like that, there is no like to do this and only that and only that. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it's not insane. If not insane by their own standards, then most normal people, if they had a conversation with them, was like, what's the thing that really like drives you up the wall right now? And they're like, oh man, fucking this shit with Ethan Klein.
Oh
Like, if you talk with most people, you're like, okay, all right, buddy, sure. So yeah, I think in that it does make you a mentally balanced person, but there's an audience for it, and to do that sort of content and to make consistent and interesting content around drama slop, you do have to be completely into it, like for sure. But that's why, yeah, I'm happy to be this little cross path. We've got like some pond viewers, we've got some drama viewers, we've got some loner box people I think still around. I don't know, but yeah, I think I'm probably going to get into what I also want to discuss before I get too tired. We usually run like
Sure
I try to
thing.
run like 4-hour streams right now. But yeah, good conversation. I'll plug your stuff. I had one viewer, shit, Hell Puppy, did you want to do a disagreement, like with, or would you want to talk on stream with a
Sure.
chatter that has a disagreement?
Sure.
All
Why
right, Hell
not? I'm
Puppy, if
always
you're
down.
still around, let me see if he's still around. Hell Puppy, if
Mm-hmm.
you're still around, you're welcome to hop in, voice, and we can talk, because I didn't actually know what he's, I imagine it's substantive, given the questioner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
All
I'm
right,
always down. I'm always down. I see
all
someone in
right.
chat also said that I'm offline on
Yep.
Twitch. That is true. I am offline on Twitch because I moved all my stuff over to Kick. So it's wait.
Oh, okay.
I'll put my thing in chat if anyone wants to check in anytime. Mm.
And here's Help Puppy while I get that. Oh, cool, you posted
Awesome.
it. Thank you. Welcome in.
Hey,
Hello, Help
give me a
Puppy.
give me a second. I need to turn off the stream on the other end. And how do I sound?
You
I've just
sound
set up the
awesome.
microphone now, so
Yeah, actually.
okay. All right. Well, you tell me if I have some. If I drop out a little because there's some people sleeping in the house, so I can't get like real loud and really entertaining. So,
Okay.
Nice.
yeah. So I'll try not to wake people. So okay. So if I can, Chaos, what would you say moral luck is? Like, if I read this thing and I say, okay, I don't quite get what moral luck is from your article. Not saying that
Okay.
it doesn't explain that, but just as a starting point,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say it is?
So on a more conceptual level, it's the potential for a person that occupies a certain ideological space. It's that person's potential to naturally, quote unquote, end up on the other uh, extreme, kind of, on the other extreme end of their uh, kind of ideological starting point or where they're at right now. On a more applicable level, moral luck is basically the plain idea that like you don't really ground your ideological prescriptions in anything other than uh, your own personal kind of your own personal experience without looking at the quote unquote material realities of the world in any way, and you end up having again quote unquote sorry I'm using quotations a lot
Mm-hmm.
because this is like very broad, but like
No. This
you
is the starting point. You get to lay out as much or a little as this as you want.
well it's like a what you kind of end up you kind of end up being correct on a lot of things, but you're correct on a lot of things because other people put in the work for you, and what you're essentially doing is kind of jumping on their ship uh, instead of actually doing the work. Like I feel like doing the in a very Marxist sense, doing the intellectual labor needed to produce a take of any kind. That's roughly what that is.
Okay. So that is. So I would disagree that that's what, or rather, I would say that's one part of moral luck. I would agree with. Just as a side note on the idea,
Mm-hmm.
I would agree that maybe some people are like don't ground their their ideology and stuff, but like ideology comes from idea, like the Greek word for idea. The point is that it isn't something that is material. It's like it has to do with what you consider the ideal state to be. It's what you wish things were. But I understand where you're coming from. But
It's more so like think of it like this, right? So it's not like I've had these conversations with my parents because like obviously, and I imagine I'm not the only one, right? Because like there's a lot of there's a huge generational divide now present more than ever because of like external political forces with the rise of the right slash fascism slash whatever the fuck, right? So it's like these conversations between generations are insane. What I've noticed when like talking to my parents, full disclosure, my parents are fairly left-leaning Euro people who are not bought into any sort of boomerisms, right?
mhm.
They're not on principle. They're not anti-trans. They're very, pro-gay marriage, whatever the fuck. It's all very much clear to them. But when we speak of trans issues, for instance, because I've noticed this is like a thing that crept up on them, and it's something that they claim they want to learn more about. They always end up either being like super empathetic towards trans people in the terms of like, oh, you'll get where I'm going with this. They can be like either, oh, everyone's entitled to their like personal autonomy, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's why I respect their choice to be trans, not their identity as it's presented.
Yeah.
Right?
So if I were to say that in another way, what you're noticing with your parents there specifically is that they have a value that you should be nice to people in a sort of general sense. So they would never like be mean to a trans person directly, but they might not accept their identity such as they present it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
I feel like the existence of trans people and all the fucking hot button things you may run into in terms of like pronouns or whatever the fuck, everything that's the thing like everyone's talking about. I feel like you can't really make an argument. I mean, obviously you can make an argument against anything. I'm just saying that like there, every trans experience is part of a material world. It's part of someone's reality. It would be, in my book, it's insane to deny that that's there, right? So you on a more from a more of like a left leaning disposition, you have nothing but empathy. So again, you're dismissing the reality of the trans experience. You're just focusing on, oh, I'm a good person, I'm an empath. Ultimately, I am allowing them to exist as trans, but you don't recognize that they exist as trans. Whereas on the other end, you have like dipshit right wingers that just don't believe in.
So if I could,
Right.
so if I could cut in a little bit, I feel like I would agree with this sort of line, going down this sort of line, but I did also call in about disagreement. So I feel like I should sort of get to
All right.
like where I feel like I disagree to sort of to push a little bit.
Sure,
So if
hit
we
me
can go. If we can go back to the sort of start where you introduce this point in the article, you talk about this conversation that happened between Destiny and Hassan and Vosh, and you point out the use here of morally lucky. But I do have to point out though that I asked you in the beginning what you considered morally lucky to be, and we sort of taking that out a little bit, and I said that I would agree that that sort of description is part of morally lucky, but I would say that it is impoverished. It's not morally lucky as I understand it. I'm going to outline that. So I'll outline what I think morally lucky is in like, I'll call that morally lucky A, and I also say that the thing that you're pointing to here, morally lucky B, like what happened in the conversation between Hassan and Vosh and Destiny, is a veiled insult at best. I'll just quickly go through that. I'm saying that I do not think that this use of morally lucky has any purchasing or utility in conversation trying to convince other people, because saying about Hassan, whatever you might think about Hassan's character, saying anybody that is not already on the side of hating him, saying, well, Hassan is just morally lucky, implies that he's moral because he was raised correctly, is basically the implication there. That if he wasn't born into these good circumstances, he would be a bad person. Now that might be a bit strong word, but that's what I'm saying. It's basically at best a veiled insult.
Okay.
Do you want to respond to that, or should I go on to what I think morally lucky would be?
If I may, I would just caveat by saying that like the end goal isn't like or like I'm not necessarily, he wouldn't necessarily be a bad person. Like you can't really, neither you nor me, we can't really determine that. What we can say is that if his leftism hinges on circumstance, then he just as easily could have been a dirty old Nazi. That's kind of the point.
I follow, but two things. One, it doesn't defeat the main sort of problem that is still a veiled insult, saying that, well, he could just as well as anyone been a dirty old Nazi. Okay, fair. But it also denies somebody the agency, because people don't tend to like being told that an ideology, and an ideology is, most people don't have any ideology. The very fact that you proclaim a flag and plant something implies that you've done a little more thinking or more choosing than most people, because most people coast through life on common sense and doesn't think of any of these things. Now, you might insist that Hassan hasn't done any thinking. Maybe. That's neither here nor there. My point is just that it's bad that it doesn't, that your answer here isn't, oh, it's not actually a best availed insult. Now, I'm fine with insulting Hassan. That's not the point. But if I can I go through what I what I understand morally lucky to be? Because again, I don't like this version, though I don't like this version of morally luck that is presented here, which is, again, to me, a sort of ad hominem. Because at best, moral luck basically deals with a problem of philosophy, the worst kind of problem, where we tend to assign praise or blame dependent on somebody's actions. But are you really that much in control of your actions? So, and in that sort of thing, it is fair to ask how much is somebody in control over their ideology. But there's some caveats and difficulties with that. So an example here is that the problem of moral luck. Here's an example. Driver A tries to avoid. Oh, sorry. Let's say that you have two drivers, driver A and driver 2. In a moment, in attention, like they didn't pay attention. Both of these drivers don't pay attention to the road. They run a red light, and one driver A hits a child and kills them. And then driver B runs the same red light, but no child popped out of nowhere, and they don't hit anybody. The important here is that neither one of the driver could see or know that the child was there. They're essentially doing the same bad thing, but in one case it's more than the other. What would you say? And I'm not asking for your moral prescription here, but what would you say is the most sort of like common sense application of blame in this scenario? Is one more tend to get more blame than the other?
Well, obviously, I mean, the driver that killed the child, or is responsible for killing a child, would get more flack than the one that just ran a red light but didn't do anything, right? Nothing happened as a result of that.
Yes, so this is one of the 4 sort of buckets that moral luck tends to fall into. Causational moral luck, meaning that we care about the causality of something, right? This deals with the problem of free will, because essentially both these drivers have done the same wrong thing, and none of them necessarily knew that the child was there. They couldn't prove that beforehand. But in one case, it went worse than another. But from the sort of, but you could say that driver B is morally lucky in the negative sense, that they've done the same sort of thing, but they get off just as that they get off easier, even though in theory they've committed the same, moral wrong of like not paying attention behind the wheel, because the only difference from them killing a child and not killing a child was that a child happened to be there.
But how would you? Okay, so I guess then my question to you would be the recipient of the blame, by as far as I understand it, as to how you laid it out for me, would be the kid, right? Not necessarily the drivers, because if we assume that neither one of them could see the child,
could I try to head you off here?
Sure.
You could make that argument, but when it comes to moral consideration, you tend to be able to, in philosophical and law and all this stuff, target every agent in whatever. So you could say that the child did, and maybe you could make some kind of argument that maybe they're even more morally lucky or unlucky, depending on. But the point here is, maybe I'll just put that aside unless you feel that it's pertinent, and say that we're for this example concentrating on these two moral agents, the ones driving.
Okay. Well, I mean, sure, but then it doesn't really. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I kind of agree with like the general idea behind everything. It's just that I don't know if this example in particular, the one that you gave, is applicable to. How would you, I guess, without making any general statements, how would you apply this, the example with the drivers, how would you apply this to the, I guess, political landscape, say, on
To the
YouTube or Twitch?
Okay, so when it comes to the political landscape, just in general, I'll stay away from Twitch
Okay.
and just ask political in general.
Sure.
It goes back to the same problem that moral luck, the version I disliked, that is being used not necessarily by you. You're just quoting the guy in the conversation back there that used it. Is used as an insult. Well, moral luck has to do with the problem that we as humans like to assign deep blame and praise depending on moral actions, but often those actions were not in complete control over. So I mentioned the first one of the sort of 4 buckets that comes with this sort of problem of moral luck, which is causational moral luck, which is like we only care about what happened. So there might be a bunch of good things that happened, but it might be that you Mr. Magoo your way into a whole bunch of good things happening to people, but you had no direct power over that happening. In lots of Western law and morality, we tend to value actions differently depending on if an action was, if you've had full understanding of the range of consequences of the decision, right? So if I Mr. Magoo a bunch of stuff, but I have no concept of the range of those consequences, but it does a bunch of good things for people, you might morally praise that, but you wouldn't give it as much praise as somebody that deliberately set out to do like these good things. You would value those differently, or maybe you wouldn't, but I'm just saying most people do, right?
No, that is true. But like again, I'm not. Could you maybe just reiterate like that specific point of like, how would you alter, say my or like the 2 definitions of moral luck that I gave to you so that it fits your kind of prescription?
Oh, well, I'm not even sure if I would force you to take on mine. I'm just laying out problems, and then we can get to that. But there's
Okay.
like 3 other sort of there's like 3 other buckets of moral luck that comes with the problem of moral luck, which I wanted to move on to. When like I'm hoping to sort of, by explaining the sort of breadth of this, we can sort of maybe come to a sort of meeting, or like sort of pathway. The other thing, and this is something that sometimes comes up, is the consecutive moral luck, I think it's called. Like, it's moral luck that has to do with a personal character of a moral agent. So like you might this is but to be clear, this doesn't mean this person is generally more nicer. This has to do with stuff like that we can observably see that education, upbringing, genes, unfortunately, and other sort of largely uncontrollable influences shapes personality and sometimes your moral sort of actions. How much, and you guys was part of this conversation, right? Like we talk about it's difficult to reach out to people when like a bunch of their sort of preconceived morals and stuff, they might even have complete control over that. You sort of are born into a bunch of these things and sort of have no, option but to take them on. Another sort of the next, like on the list of 4 here, would be circumstantial moral luck. The example for this one is that this is a very well-known example that like if I were born in 1920s in 1929 Weimar Germany, it's a very good chance I would be a Nazi. not because I necessarily had the character for it, but because I was born into circumstances that forms, my morality. This is like the other side of like disturbing moral luck, right? Like you might be morally unlucky just to be born into the sort of wrong. And, this is sort of the reverse again with the Hassan example, that he's like, I'm not saying you said this, but like I've heard people say this, that like he was born into very wealthy and he went to school and blah, blah, blah. So you have the combination of the circumstantial and the consecutive moral luck gathering there. Let's see, and let me just, I need to dig out from my brain, what's the last example?
But wait,
yeah,
can I just cut you off for like a second?
Yeah.
And a half? Okay.
Yeah, go on.
So what I kind of didn't, and I kind of realized this is a failure on my part, in terms of like the article and stuff. I don't think I quite clearly put forward this idea that like obviously moral luck is supposed to be graded on some sort of curve, right? There isn't. It's not a state that can exist in totality, right? You have to kind of. I don't know what I'm getting at is basically
Yeah.
you can't really expect. I don't know if you were born. You gave an example of yourself, for example, like being born in Weimar, Germany, right? You would
Yeah,
most likely
just if I could cut in just one example, the finishing off of that example with the Weimar example is that we can do that in reverse. If I had magical powers and I snap my fingers and I teleport 10 people at the moment of their birth from Weimar, Germany, and just move them 80 years into the future, they again probably would grow up with very different morals, So like it works both ways as well.
True. No, I agree. But like, it's not more so the question. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point. It's not necessarily the question of everyone, and I feel like someone in chat also mentioned this on Duck's End. I mean, that like everyone's born into some set of circumstances, and there's very little you can do to kind of combat this, right? It's just you're born with the a certain hand, and you have to play with the cards that you've been dealt. But
Agreed.
I feel like the point here is that for someone like, okay, so let's take you hypothetically being a Nazi in that scenario, right? Assuming
Hypothetically, it says.
Assuming that you had no out of that circumstance. It was literally like you either conform to the climate of the Nazi regime or you die, which was, I would imagine, was like the reality for most people that were part of the Nazi structure at a certain point. That's very different than someone like Hassan, for instance. I hate using him as an example, but like any kind of big...
No, I'm fine with using him as an example. I think it works for what we're talking about. But go on.
For example, like Hassan or Vosh or like whoever, them hoarding money, not canvassing, not doing any kind of political, like on the ground kind of work, whatever that is. I recognize that a lot of people see this differently, but like any kind of IRL politics, agitational work or whatever, the fact that they're not doing that, I would argue, holds more weight and should be subject to more scrutiny than you being a Nazi. I'm being very generous here, out of necessity. Because
yeah, no. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say because you had no choice in the matter, right?
Yeah, so we're back to that thing that like, that most Western law and morality place a very heavy emphasis on like voluntary understood actions again, right? But my question though would be, is it really more though? Like, because I would understand why, and I'll be a little bit careful here because bringing up the examples of the Nazis is like a drain that we can be trapped in. So I'll, try not to be trapped in that too much. But the problem, just to sort of say, you could say, hey, there's a bunch of things that Hassan, Bosch, and whatever hasn't done that I think they should do, and I might even agree with you. But to return to the sort of description, the thing you pointed at, and this is where I take like Ambridge, because the article says a useful tool, I think, or something to that extent, describing the moral lucky being thrown at the sun. And that's like that's what, like, the part I'm taking Ambridge with, because again, it is basically, again, I repeat that I think it's like tantamount to an ad hominem, that it says, it implies that he was just lucky to be born into this sort of thing. Humans, we still have a little bit of agency, right? Again, trying not to be trapped in the Nazi example again, but there were people that rejected all of that did not. We have examples of people not, being completely trapped by the current, but also, but that's a difficult, it's impossible to say which is greater or not, and none of them, or none of the factors of any factors of your life is necessarily unimportant. So if you talk to anybody, again, I repeat, so I just feel that if you were talking to anybody that had a positive attitude towards the sun and used morally lucky even in the softest way, they would rightfully take it as a little bit of an insult. No? Because it's basically denying his agency, because the implication is saying that he didn't choose to believe in this sort of things, and that might actually be true. Maybe he's just, more lucky in that way. I don't think that wins you a good argument.
I think.
Go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say this is more like of a discussion about moral culpability, because we have legal culpability versus moral culpability. Like when we're using the Nazi example, we obviously like can determine that there's less moral culpability for somebody who was forced into an act versus somebody who did it willingly. And like the point I think that Blade was making about moral luck, like when it comes to Hassan specifically, you're right that most people are going to read this article, and if they're a fan of Hassan, they would see that and be like, oh well, he didn't have, you're basically removing his agency. But I don't think the way that it was framed was that that he had a lack of agency in how he came to his beliefs, but there was not like any sort of, because they're effective in certain ways, they're not criticized, like they're not criticized effectively, I guess, because like it's a tool of saying maybe you are correct about things, but not like fuck. I was trying to listen to you guys.
See, that's where that's where I disagree, because like again, this is where I say if this is like a sort of new Urban Dictionary, definition of morally lucky, the morally lucky B versus the morally lucky A, that I'm a stern asshole and Sipu. Morally luck has to do with how you assign blame and praise, though, like for actions that we sometimes have very little control over. So to me, it makes no sense to use that in a sort of pointed way towards somebody, right? Because you're essentially invoking the concept of, well, you don't really have that much control over your life, but let me judge you for it anyway. Like, not to say that you shouldn't judge people. There are good reasons to judge people, but understand how I'm skeptical of it being a useful tool, as this article said.
Well, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from with all of it. It's just that, okay, so a couple of things. I mean, first and foremost, I feel like the point here is, and I like the phrasing, from Duck here. Like, moral culpability is, it's not more so that like you're judging someone based on something they can't ultimately control, which would be their, the material conditions they were born into. I hate using the Marxist framing in this, but it just seems the most applicable. So like, you can't really judge people, or it would be wrong, morally wrong even, to judge people based on that. But what you can do is
not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's completely coherent to say that somebody was born into a circumstance that didn't allow them to be good, and they were still bad. That's not contradictory. That might just be, well, mean, I guess.
Yeah, I guess personally, right? It would depend on how you grade these things, but I don't know. More so, the point I was making is that someone like Hassan, given that he's not offering any kind of pushback to any kind of legitimate pushback, I guess you can grade that however you want, but like what has and this kind of goes back to the beginning of the conversation I had with Doug. What Hassan essentially does is he does nothing but further his own little one man media empire that he's built through the using socialism as this kind of a platform to achieve that. I don't think that it's that crazy to say that, like, hey, you have all this money, you're in a fairly comfortable position as far as all of us can tell. Why aren't you doing anything with it? And it's not like quibbling over, oh, he didn't donate all of his money to charity or whatever the fuck. I feel like that's dumb, right? That line of argumentation.
He has too big of a house.
Yeah, but don't really, like, that's stupid to me. But it's not like, I'm not trying to make the argument that, like, socialism equals no money. Who cares, ultimately, at the end of the day? But you're not doing, where is it going besides your house, your cars, whatever else, right?
And if I could cut it, I am sort of trying to play agnostic to all of those things because I don't want to legislate Hassan's character more than necessary. But let me just say that all of that could be true, but that does not fit. That criticism, let's just take it 100% valid, does not fit into moral lucky in any way, unless you're saying that he was just morally lucky to happen upon being a communist or / socialist, and that happened to be popular at the time.
That too, but it's more so like he happened to.
Okay, but hold on, but hold on. That's where I'm telling you that is a very fine line to tread.
Okay.
Because again, anybody that hears that that too, meaning like, oh well, he happened for reasons outside of his control to opt into socialism / communism, and that happened to be in the zeitgeist. People don't like ideology. Again, most people don't have ideologies. They don't think about these things. They don't at all. So people find it weird, and even though people maybe won't know how to voice that, they kind of know that, everyone in this space kind of know that, as much as some people might joke about it, socialism, communism is not the prevailing milieu Hassan grew up in, and I will reject that his parents were educated or whatever. And I know his uncle had a show, but Hassan grew up most of his life. He grew up in a capitalist environment, right? And there are many people that have had socialist leanings, and their children hasn't been. So again, the moral luckiness here overrides or diminishes his agency. And I don't think anybody positively aligned with him would like that, because that is the implication, and you can't get around that when you're using morally luck in this pointed way.
But isn't it, I mean, again, I feel like the
Can I just ask, before you go,
Sure.
Could I just ask, would you agree with that? Like, because I'm trying to outline that talking about moral luck in a sort of philosophical way, not to say that this couldn't be philosophical, I'm just saying in the sort of version A. Talking about moral luck in the sort of way of how we assign blame and praise and stuff, even though we aren't fully in control of our circumstances and action fully, that's not pointed, right? And that's where morally luck makes the most sense to think about. When you turn it towards somebody in a sort of pointed way, it becomes an accusation, becomes an ad hominem against the man. And I and I'm not saying that you are forbidden from using that under any circumstance, but that's why I don't think it's a good use here. Would you at least agree, if you, maybe you think that it's a good use, but would you at least agree that it becomes very different, if you don't want to go all the way to harm them, it at least becomes sort of aggressively pointed when you use it this way?
Yes, I mean, I would ultimately agree with you there. It's just that I feel like, not I feel like, I think that like, um, the the aggressiveness has to come from, it has to have like some sort of impact on the person, I guess. The person that's like receiving the ad hominem for it to be 1,000,000% valid in terms of like, so if these types of critiques, and I'm not talking about, oh, here's a dumbass right winger that critiques Hassan because he thinks that socialism equals no money. That type of criticism can, especially if it's someone like, say for instance, Asmongold, that has like a big platform and shit like that. If Asmongold criticizes Hassan, you can make an argument that that can leave a lasting impact, or someone even like Ethan from HTH, right? If these people attack him, that can leave lasting impacts on what he's doing, either his business or his livelihood, or whatever. A lot of things can happen that would put him in a disadvantaged position because of disingenuous ad hominem attacks and criticisms. In this case, if you're doing an ad hominem, kind of, but more so, you're doing an ad hominem, you happen to end up, you follow your own argumentation and you end up doing an ad hominem. That's different than wanting to do it from the get-go.
So I would say that combining, and I deliberately chose the sort of, a little pretentious ad hominem to connect here because for a deliberate purpose. Because ad hominem means against a man or to do with the person.
Mm-hmm.
But moral luck, as we discussed in the sort of way I would prefer it, has exactly not to do with you. It has to do with all the things that you don't actually have control over. So to say, so to combine the two, it's contradictory.
No. I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? You're not critiquing the man. You're not critiquing Hassan because he ended up somewhere. You're critiquing him because he didn't do anything with the position he is in, right? So,
But moral luck does not pretend a criticism out to you haven't done these specific political actions.
no, true, but like you can still use moral luck as kind of a bedrock.
You could try to build it out from there. You can try to build it out from there. But I would just say, one, I think the criticism of Hassan hasn't done these specific moral actions stands stronger alone for many reasons. Two of which is, one, what the fuck is moral luck? I could tell you that like fucking that Bernard Williamson invented this concept in the 70s, but that's because I'm a fucking loser who like reads too much. Nobody this is not a concept that many people would like, and I'm not making this sort of like don't use big words. I'm just saying that it's not a evident concept, and it sounds again on face of it, and that's how it was used in the conversation you pointed to as a veiled insult, and I think most people would read it that way. So, for many reasons, I would tactically avoid it, but I can't like deny people to like the idea. I'm just saying that I don't think it holds mustard to say that, well, you could start there and build a criticism onto. No, just start with that then. Just say Hassan hasn't done these political things, and for this he has. Starting with the, well, he's morally lucky is, a dismissal. It's a thing people are going to use to just dismiss him, which might be right to dismiss him, but it's not rhetorically sound or like in a sort of logical way.
If I may, you've seen or if you've read the article, then you've noticed that the title of the article is Morally Lucky 1, right? So in Morally Lucky 2, Electric Boogaloo, I will definitely take all of these, all of the things we've discussed thus far into account, and then probably
No,
apply them in a more in a measured way, I guess. That's
yeah. I'm trying to be a little bit sort of pointed and be like, this is what I disagree on, and I will, I'm aware that I'm returning to my points, but that's because I'm trying to hammer on the things I disagree on. I understand that this is like a thing that is, no, you're not processing this as a big sort of must be thesis. I understand, but
no, I get you, and ultimately I value precisely this articulation of this sort of feedback for many reasons. Because ultimately that's what this type of writing needs, like that type of post hoc, not necessarily correction, but that precisely what you said, like that pointiness that it can kind of lose on a conceptual level at times. So
mhm.
ultimately, what I'm saying, thank you, right? That's really valued.
This is making me
Okay.
sad because I wish that we could have had this discussion around the Psychic War article and gotten Psychic War 2. This is kind of bring me back to our roots, Puppy, in terms of analyzing articles on
I
stream.
Yeah, but I did talk with Smug about Psychic War 2 times, and I told him he's a fucking idiot, and that's all.
Well, yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that in this case we have somebody who is willing to accept that critique and expand upon it and make a better, something that maybe speaks to a larger audience or speaks to things that might be common critiques of the writing.
Wait,
which is cool.
just for my sanity, real quick, can anyone tell the army on what the fuck Psychic War 2 is? Even?
What would Psychic War 2 be? Psychic War 2 would just be Smugbug admitting that he has a problem with autistic people in fucking article form, I guess. That's basically the critique that he got for his original Psychic War. And be like, you're asking us to do things. You're asking us to lie. We can't do this. Or I don't know. It was an interesting time. He doesn't stand by his writing, I guess. But I guess the point of that is that he had a much more niche audience that he intended for his writing there, which is why like when people started
Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Or.
Add 5G.
I mean, true. No, I mean, like, I think what you might be extrapolating is like a critique of somebody from their position within like whether or not they had certain benefits growing up and et cetera, like, yeah, we shouldn't, I think as people we should devalue those people's positions at this point. If you haven't engaged in like the discussion, like if you haven't, I guess, confronted your own, what's a better word for it than fucking privilege? If you haven't confronted like the natural biases that you might have because of your position in life, and you're doing politics advocacy online, you're probably having a lot of blind spots.
So, some people listening probably will recognize some of the ways I talk about ideology as basically being CJEC, although I mangle them a lot, because like I talked here that I said that, and I wasn't pushed back on it, luckily, because you could push back on this, but I basically just said that most people don't have any ideology. They don't think about ideology at all. But like if you asked a lot of people like in the Western world, they would probably say that they are liberals, and that isn't kind of ideology. But like what I mean is just that the most common ideology around the world is common sense. basically. Most people are lucky enough not to have to, I wasn't going to fight chaos on this, but the criticism of something isn't very estimologically. That word is fucking difficult.
I struggled with it.
Etymology.
I prepared beforehand and still struggled.
Yeah,
Epistemological.
It has to do with the philosophy of what knowledge is and what the limits of knowledge is and so on. Most people are lucky enough not to having to build out that fucking system, and most people that say they have built that system out are liars. It's just the truth that that you have to function in the world without a full understanding of knowledge, and that's the most effective way of functioning.
Mm-hmm. Why are you down that way? Sorry, I have to. He's back.
Hello.
Sorry, I was. He was in the AFK channel for some reason. We're back.
We're back. Jesus. All
sorry,
right.
Sorry to interrupt you. What were you saying about epistemological?
I was just saying that the criticism that something isn't fully, fully built out epistemologically always irks me a little bit, because that's most things, right? Humans don't have a fully, us as a whole species throughout all our history don't have a full, built out system of what knowledge is. And I'm aware that it seems that I'm just offhanding something, but I do think, that sort of criticism is never, I never feel it's very sharp, but that's, I admit, personal. But I do know what people mean. They just mean that I don't think they've thought something through all the way. It's fair enough, but ideologies is literally about ideas and ideals and what you would kind of want, what you imagine, the ideal to be. And it's actually fair that most people haven't thought that out, because you're basically asking people what is the ideal you want. And the fact that they are a little bit of failure of imagination, that they just want things to be good, isn't that high of a crime intellectually, I have to say, even though in a rhetoric sort of argumentative sense I would fucking plunge the dagger into that and use it as a wedge.
No, true.
I agree. I don't think somebody like Hassan, I can trust that they are motivated by a desire to be good. I think that that's kind of what I have on a platform level critique when it comes to this is you can repeat things that are consistent, obvious, and obviously you can, I don't know, how do I say this? Fuck. You guys keep talking. I set up another fucking segment and then I got distracted by that shit.
Do you remember what you were going to say before your internet got fucking cut? Chaos?
No, I was just gonna say that, I don't know, I mean, ultimately I agree with everything that you said. It's just that, I don't know, I feel like there is also, I mean, what we kind of tend to forget with these figures online, or politicians even, people who engage in politics in any meaningful way, like lawmakers and shit like that. These people live inherently very fucking, at least compared to most of the world, they live very privileged lives. Just on a very primitive level, their existence is very privileged. And what you kind of have to do, I feel, when you find yourself in a privileged position, is try to the greatest degree that you can kind of pull others up as well, especially if you're an advocate for something like socialism, right? So it's more so that hey, what needs to be done is I wouldn't expect a fucking service worker somewhere to have a coherent moral system and a very an epistemological backing of every single claim they produce on a daily basis.
And it would be yeah. I'm just saying that I think it's no less absurd to ask that of even somebody that has a lot of free time, because it's such a big ask. I understand, listen, if again, if you take it just to mean, if the difficult word just means I don't think you have thought this through all the way, that's a fair criticism. But asking for epistemology to be built out is basically saying, hey, finish the project of what knowledge is and what its limits is and how it's produced and works. And that's, I don't know. I wouldn't. That sounds like some kind of punishment I inflict on Hassan in like his personal hell or something. Like,
Fair. No, that I see why someone would think
I'm aware
that.
that I'm aware that I'm damning with faint praise because what I said there was essentially, isn't Hassan a little bit too dumb to figure out human knowledge? But I'm just saying, I don't think any of what he says, dumb or not, should pivot on if he has that project finished out. And having it all thought out, I don't know. Listen, I understand that this can be a good criticism for many people. I'm just saying that I think most people don't have everything they've thought out. I don't think they have that for any project, really. That's just been my personal experience in even working, even in very sensitive fields, that most people have half a plan or a concept of a plan, really.
True.
Yeah. This has given me a lot to think on and expand on in terms of like what I think. I mean, because
And
yeah, I think
can I just, sorry, I'm building a lot out on this, but just to try to convince us, just to build one last point of this, and I repeat, not having a full plan is a good criticism, but I think also most people know that you sort of have to figure it out a little bit of the way. So I don't think this is a powerful criticism to levy against Hassan if it was if you were talking to somebody who already liked him. Right? Like, I mean, I would run this in reverse. I would just be like, so listen, Mr. Ben Shapiro enjoyer, do you think Ben Shapiro has a complete plan completely and thought everything out? Probably not, but does that really matter? Most people like political commentary because of the sort of more generalist sort of shit that Doc would bang on about, like feelings and emotion and all that shit. Not because they have a finish out plan.
Well, I mean, ultimately, yeah, that wouldn't be convincing. I just don't know if the goal here is to convince. Ultimately, that's what I'm kind of.
I think
wrestling
Duck
with.
would like it to be. I think Duck really cares about convincing people. I would agree that, like, from a sort of intellectual angle, this is like a obvious weakness, just a boring one. But I do think for a lot of people, in some people in the space, convincing people is what they're looking for, because that's what they need to do, essentially. Because
I care less about convincing people. I care more about giving people a reason to care that they're wrong in the first place. I don't know. To
Exactly.
just get them to question.
No, that's based. Actually, I'm done with that 100%. Precisely that articulation, right?
And maybe I'm not very helpful on that front, because my personal opinion on this sort of things is that I won't I won't do the cliche and say that you can't logic people out of stuff they didn't logic themselves into. I don't really think that's the case for most things. It's a little bit of cliche, but I do think that people don't tend to be, you can't like do the Dune thing of using the fucking Bene Gesserit voice to just say you will now be a sissy leftist boy and like just convince them, however much you practice the voice. What I think rather is that my personal experience is that small sort of chinks in the armor or sort of seeds of doubt sort of grows to be unsustainable over time. But the thing about that is, plants tend to die if you don't give them continuous exposure to water and sunlight. And the metaphorical plant seed here, in doubt, needs to be continually watered by exposure to the same things. And I think that's why some people are a little bit defensive of even bad broadcasters for their own side, because I think people kind of know, or this is my opinion. So like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you disagree, but this is my opinion that I think most people know that even if you plant a bunch of seeds on these metaphorical seeds on people, if all the broadcasting and contact with this sort of stuff stopped, those seeds would just wilter on the vine.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, kinda. Yeah, ultimately. I guess I agree. But
I mean, I understand. Yeah, like even if I critique Sasan, it's not like that critique is not. You even said it a little bit before that it has to be from both sides. So we're pushing by creating a different platform and saying this is how we think things should work. This is how we think things ought to be. But also we're maybe making reasoned sort of critiques to like strategically towards people who might be fans of that content to just engage with it more critically. Like I don't know, it's not there's no simple solution to any of this. It's just it is a system that is you know highly benefiting people who already are, wealthy, I guess, who already have ways to isolate themselves, and the platforms they gained through engaging with us also granted them social
Mhm.
reinforcement and, a stable form of capital that's directly tied to them continuing to re-engage with that fucking format. So it's like, I don't know. There's no simple solution. I'm just here, man.
Okay. Uh, anyway, Chaos, I think we've taken up a lot of time, but like, do you have any last thoughts of like our disagreements and like maybe we can try to like since I think we were at the end there when you were yanked away by the internet for a
mm-hmm.
moment.
Well, no, I was just gonna thank you one more time, and when I publish the second part of
Hmm.
the article, we can wrap
So
once more.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can talk again. Although maybe maybe I won't have any burning
Any.
hardcore debate disagreements this time. But that time. But listen. Just as a last insult, I would
Mm-hmm.
maybe suggest Susan Wolf, which has done some sort of expansive writing on um, like the moral, like the problem of moral luck.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bit interesting in a way that I don't particularly agree with her, but she comes up with the most fucking hippiest fucking thing of like happy mediums, where she tries to like get something in between of saddling with moral, the moral, with moral luck as a problem and rejecting it outright, which
Mm-hmm.
was for a time in philosophy, you were either you agreed with the moral, with that there's just a fundamental problem of moral luck, or you completely rejected it and sort of said, well, you have agency more actually. And Susan will try to do something in between. But to be clear, I am suggesting that somebody read, which is a fucking, it is a curse and should never be. I am basically advocating self harm at this point. So, I think maybe I should be kicked out now.
Thank you very much. I'll definitely look
Hi.
into, and then we'll revisit this at some point, preferably when I write the second part to this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it was an interesting, substantive discussion. I think that yeah, that's really where I get down to it is where a lot of people come away from like reading these articles is where's the prescriptiveness? Like what do I do? What should we do? What can we do? And that's like yeah, hopefully we see an expansion on that. Thank you so much, Blade of Chaos, for coming in, and thank you, Help Up B, for coming in. And yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
okay,
anytime.
thank you.
Love you. Be careful. Stay safe. Talk
Bye
All
soon.
right,
bye.
bye.
Bye. That was fun. That was fun. Anyway, it's fucking 2 a.m. I gotta dip. Okay. Uh, all love. Care in the world. Okay. Bye.